Hello plant people, how are you guys doing today? If you're new around here, my name is Ashley and I'm a soil scientist. On this channel I like to take that science and apply it to all things plants, and today's video we are doing the series on container gardening. So this is hands down one of my most requested videos, even prior to doing my collab with Nate, which we're basically using a ton of these guys, 5-gallon pail buckets. First off though, I am going to ask you to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. I always forget to say it at the beginning of the video, so now I have a ton of people that watch my videos that aren't subscribed. So join the community. We're friendly, we don't bite. The comment section usually more helpful than I am. Just saying. And let's get on with the video. The reason for it is people have limited space, and actually getting soil to do what you want it to do takes time, takes practice, you name it. So the reason why I actually grow in containers is because I have a lot of very large trees in my backyard, most of which provide shade, which to a gardener is a nightmare, but to anyone who just wants to sit in their backyard and enjoy it, it's a delight. So I feel bad cutting the trees down, and I compromise, and my compromise is containers. So one new way that I found to do container gardening is actually with a self-watering kit. Now the kit that I have here is the Grow Tech Garden kit, and I'll leave a link for it down below. But essentially all it is a bottom saucer that allows you to fill 3 inches the bottom of this container with water, and then through capillary action and through closed off porosity space, it moves up into the profile. So with this bucket, you want to always use food safe if possible. So these Lee Valley blue ones are food safe, as well as there's white ones at Home Depot that are food safe, just to give you a few different examples. So inside of this one, I do have the auto flowers that I started from seed inside the little tiny containers that everyone just absolutely blasted me for. Those have germinated, and I transplanted this in here when I got about 4 true leaves, which is literally yesterday is when I transplanted in there. He's doing very happy, very healthy. And I think this is a great application for something like an autoflower that is relatively sensitive. In my other container, I do have cherry tomatoes. So this would be another example of something you would want to do there. Peppers, for example, actual tomatoes would all work. I wouldn't go more than 1 large plant per container, only for your own sanity. While the self-watering container will provide enough water that you only have to water once a day, it may be tedious, and you're going to really have to make sure you're topping up on that water nutrients. So the setup for this from the actual self-watering container is really easy. All you do is drill a hole about 3 inches above the bottom of the bucket and put all the plumbing in, and then literally put your soil on top, transplant inside, and then this indicator is the indicator as to how low your water level is. So you, typically speaking, are going to want to allow this to go pretty much to bottom if possible. The reason for this is because we are going to use a liquid fertilizer in this bucket. So with any sort of potting soil that doesn't have any fertilizer in it, or with heavy feeders in small containers such as the cannabis, the tomatoes, the peppers, things like that, you want to use a liquid formula fertilizer in conjunction with the self-watering containers. The reason for this is because granular will be continually soaked, which can actually cause some issues. And those issues can range from anaerobic conditions, potential salt inhibition areas, and just, root burn, that sort of thing. So in order to avoid that or prevent that to the best of our abilities, we're going to use a liquid fertilizer. I would prefer you use organic in this case, only because it's really going to help to prevent against burning, because you do need to be careful when topping up the containers that you don't over fertilize, because you will have some residual water in there. So that is something to keep in mind. So once you let this get low, or as low as you possibly can mentally, you are going to top up with that liquid fertilizer mixed with water accordingly to the bottom of the bucket. Now, if you want to water halfway in between, say you're going on holidays, whatever the case is, then you would just obviously mix it accordingly outside of the container and what's the bottom of the container can hold, and then you would pour that in, obviously as a separate batch. So those are all things to think about. Now, when it comes to soil choices, this actually is very, very key. So I'm going to show you exactly what we chose here. Inside of here, you can see not just an excessive amount of perlite, but in particular, these really big balls of perlite, literally the size of like my well, bigger than my pinky nail actually, and that's what you want to look for. The reason for this is because we have so much water always sitting in our soil system. We need that porosity. Plants need a combination in their pore space of air, nutrients, and water. So in order for us to provide that, we do need to have that perlite in there, which doesn't have as great of a capillary action to suck up water to allow for room for that aeration that the roots need. So Sunshine Mix number 4 is the one I encourage you to get. Miracle Grow is way too heavy, and Pro Mix also way too heavy. If you have to go with those versions, I would just add separate perlite or an excessive amount of perlite that's smaller to help provide that oxygenation so you don't get an anaerobic environment and you can really maximize plant growth. So like I said, I'm going to be doing an entire series on literally container gardening. I'm trying so many different methods, from a Ruth Stout inside of a Rubbermaid to using animal salt lick bins, the self-watering 5-gallon pail buckets, and a whole other host of things in between to help you guys with smaller environments or people who are trying to utilize the sun to their benefit to grow their plants, or if you're growing indoors as well. Now, what I will say is if you're watching the series with Nate, Bob's about to come out with fish that he's going to make me fill it. So one thing I will say is if you're watching the series with Nate, you will see him growing in 5-gallon pail buckets, and I've told him repeatedly that the 5-gallon pail bucket, while good, means you have to water continually. And towards the end of those plants' life cycle, and in particular I'm worried about the tomatoes, we are going to need to water them at least once, if not twice a day, just completely based on his situation. Ideally, he would have had the self-watering buckets, which would help immensely with the entire process. So we just have the time for it, and they are, I mean, they're $36 for a pack of 3, so what are they? They're $11 each. They're obviously going to last long time, but nonetheless, if you guys have any ideas on how you could DIY this idea based on the setup that I showed you, please let me know in the comments down below, because I'd be interested in making larger size versions of this for my salt lick containers or just any of those other ones in between. But I'm gonna let you go. I have some fish to fill it. My dog's acting crazy. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and let me know in the comments down below how to make it on your own, because I'd be interested on your guys. Some of you guys are pretty handy. So talk to you guys later. Bye.